Okay. Hi, Gay DeRusso with the Majestic rider here today with Flyboy. This is going to be his first ride with me. He's been ridden and trained. He is supposed to be a little bit pacey, and he doesn't canter under saddle yet. He's young. I think he's 6 now. Okay. And so we just have a snaffle in. I made his throat latch longer because that was very tight. Your throat latch, which is this thing, is just to help hold your bridle in place. It shouldn't choke them, and you got to be careful because when you put it too tight, when they tuck their head in, it will put a lot of pressure on their throat. So you're trying to make sure he is able to do that. You can see he's very busy. He's a young guy. All right. So what I'm going to do is just kind of see what he knows under saddle first. So I'm going to see if he knows the lateral flexion. Good boy. He could, no, don't move your feet. He does well on the groundwork. The owner's done a very good job with him. So this could be better. Let's put it that way. He shouldn't be spinning. But everybody's pressure is different, and I don't even know if they've done this under saddle or not. Good boy. Good job. So just back and forth. Yeah. So again, he either knows it, and I'm using different pressure, so he's confused. I'll turn around in a minute. Or he didn't know it. So I do this because I use it when I ask them to put their head down. So that lateral flexion helps a lot. I don't like to just aimlessly pull on the horses and have them, figure it out over time. I want them to know exactly what I'm doing. So now I'm going to pull on one rein and the other, and then I'll release when he puts his head down. So I don't think he knows how to do this. So he's backing up. I'm not pulling any harder, but I'm not releasing either. So he's trying to figure out the answer. And so I just stay still and wait. Legs are off. So he's just backing up on his own because he thinks that pressure on the bit means go backwards. And I'm trying to tell him, well, pressure on the bit also means to put your head down. And pressure on the bit with legs will either mean go forward or backward depending on how I'm shifting my weight. So he's thinking. He's like, yeah, I am. Now he decided maybe I'll try backwards again. But there he goes. Good job. Good job. Okay, so let's get back in front of you again. And then we'll try it again. I think his whoa could be a little bit better. So I'm just holding pressure. He's backing. So it takes him a bit to figure out the answer. He's smartened up. He's thinking, good boy. So he's very smart because sometimes I back around the whole arena with some horses. He's like, yeah, they're not very smart at all. So I'm going to put pressure on one rein and then the other, and then I just wait, no legs. He's thinking. He's like, do I do the backup thing? Now, he put his head down, but he was still backing up, and that's why I waited. And there he just went forward. He's distracted. So they will go through all these things when they're learning. Good boy. So I'm just going to stay here and just add pressure on and off. You can forward ahead if you want to see his gait. That'll probably be in 20 minutes from now. The hardest part is not changing anything. When they start backing up and they're trying to figure out the answer, people start changing things, which then the horse really can't figure it out. It has to be the same every single time. The same pressure, the same amount of leg, the same amount of hand until they figure it out. Good boy. Now you can see he's not very spooky. I can see that flag flying around behind me. Okay, so that's one thing I'm going to be working on is fixing this so when I put pressure on, he understands to put his head down. If you're good with your hands and you teach them that, you don't need draw reins or anything else. Some of you have never had lessons, so you're not very good with your hands, and something like draw reins or German martingale can help you to guide your horse so you're not confusing it so much. So as he's walking, I'm just bending. He already feels very lateral to me, in other words, towards the pace. When I get on the horses And I say that right away. It means it feels like the horse is waddling, like I'm riding a duck. So I can immediately feel if they're lateral under saddle. Now he can gait when he's loose, and he can trot when he's loose. Loose. He's not given to the bit so well, but again, that's because he doesn't understand it yet. But we're going to get that, because you see that in all the things. I'm trying not to ask for too much too soon, but just kind of let him figure it out and not annoy him too much in the process. With young horses, you got to be careful. They can have temper tantrums, don't we know that? Just like children. So we're trying to give them some time to kind of figure out that pressure, which I just taught them, means to lower your head. And it doesn't mean to yank your head down towards the ground. It just means lower your head. So it's very important that this horse gets a little bit better with bending. If you can't bend your horse and you can't do that shoulder and or leg yield, you don't have much to help you with the gait. Now, I just added my leg and just kept it on until he went. But in time, we're just going to try to keep him going unless he ends up being very fast under saddle. And you might be like, what's that got to do with pooping? The fast ones I let take a lot of breaks because I want them to know that they can just relax. Okay. So he's going to need a lot of bending work. Again, this is my first ride on him. And when I bend him, a lot of times we talk about inside to outside. What that means is the inside right now is my right rein and leg. The outside is my left rein and leg. So the outside of the arena, inside of the arena, or inside of the circle and outside of the circle. Okay? We want the horse to carry more weight on the outside of its body. So therefore we want to support them more on the outside. Horses lean into pressure. So if I just keep pulling on my inside rein, the horse is going to start leaning in. So you're trying to teach them to carry themselves, and to do that, we ride from inside to outside. So it means I use my inside rein and leg, but very lightly, and then I catch it with my outside rein and leg. So you'll see, as I go by, that my outside rein is staying steady, but my inside run is bending. Okay, now I'm going to do our serpentine. So since I know he's pacey, I would like to keep his head a little lower and relax his neck and back. Now, each horse is different. Sometimes, even though they're pacey, I will pick their head up. It depends what it feels to me under saddle, and I kind of play around and see what works for each horse. He almost feels like my old horse, Mr. Nichols. He still is. He got a good home, and he's a great horse. But that's what he kind of feels like. And Mr. Nichols could pace, and Mr. Nichols could trot. And if you did it just right, Mr. Nichols had a wonderful gait. But you really had to ride him correctly. So, all right. So I'm not going to do it on the video. I'm going to start walking around. But otherwise, from the evaluation, I do that serpentine a lot more. So we're going to go over the poles, see how trippy he is with a rider on him. I've lunged him over him. So we're seeing, does he pick up his legs? Can I separate his legs? Now this is good right here. This is what I like. His head's down. He's relaxed. He's picking his feet up over the poles, and he's not leaning in. Okay. Good job, buddy. Now he's stuck. Are you pooping again? I could feel him slowing down. Okay. Now, he didn't go to the bathroom, so it might be that he's smart. He just went forward for no reason at all. He kind of thrust forward. That's why I stopped him and backed him up. But he stopped right where he pooped before, so he might have been like, I just screwed with you, Gay, and you don't know it, so I'm not going to let him stop there anymore. If he's got to poop, he can stop somewhere else. So he's wandering back and forth, left and right. He's not staying very straight. So I'm going to keep this horse at the walk. because as soon as he speeds up, he's getting lateral and his body's getting very, very crooked. So I'm staying off the rail. I'm keeping it right in between my hands and legs. He's going left and right like he's drunk. Then he just lunged forward. Good boy. Now I don't know why he's doing any of these things. And so we're just going to see if it gets better or what it does. But I want him just to walk around and relax and not worry about gating so much at the moment. No. Again, this might be new, or this might be the way he has been the whole time. Whoa. I'm sticking my hand under my saddle to make sure it's not pinching him. So when they do weird things, I always check the saddle. So he went into pacing and he went faster, and I didn't ask him to do that, so I'm just backing him up. That's going to be my correction for him just going faster or pacing. At the moment, it's just going to be stopping and backing up. Now this is the hard part. When you're trying to get the gait and you're trying to do these things, you can't do it until you can consistently keep the speed, and you got to be able to do that at the walk first. And I got to keep him relaxed. Now sometimes they've been sore here and there from the saddle, and they're expecting it to happen again, like they're remembering the pain, so that can be it too. So let's just spend a lot of time walking. And I don't think she has an arena to work in, so I think she has a round pen. So there he kind of tripped and went forward, so I'm going to go backwards. Now see him speed up, so I just held him. Now he's pacing. I think he's very confused. He's all over the place. Yep. So let's just keep walking big circles and try to walk. I'm concentrating, that's why I'm not talking. So I'm changing what I'm doing. Usually I do that whole arena routine. Right now I'm just going to concentrate on just walking and relaxing and moving my hips back and forth and getting him to follow my rhythm. No. So he's doing lots of weird things with his body underneath me. At times he feels completely fine, and at other times he feels like he's bunched up and all over the place. You can't start your gait if you don't have a regular walk. So all those horses that you have that are pacing, and they're all pacing at the regular walk, that's where you have to start. Nobody wants to start there, but that's where you have to start, is at that regular walk. So I'm just holding and waiting. I'm not asking him for anything except to stop doing what he's doing, but I'm not getting way after him. I'm trying to get him to figure it out and just let him relax. So I just stay still and hold him until he stops doing the weirdo stuff he's doing. Now he might change here right by this weird cow looking thing. It was spooking all the other horses, but he just did it before. When he got over here, he bunched up. Good boy, but he didn't that time. So that might have been his way, even though he's not a real nervous or skittish horse, his way of showing me that he was uncomfortable. So I just clucked, and he immediately went back to being goofy again and crooked. Sneezing is a release, so that is good. The more he sneezes, the happier I am. And the hard part, when he starts to try to go faster and do his gait, he goes right into pacing, but he's elevating his hind quarter. Okay? And some of them do that when they do the saddle gait, but he shouldn't do that for the flat walk for his first gait. So, even though this is not very exciting, you might have a problem like this. So all I want him to do is just walk. He's like, no, okay. I just want him to walk and keep his head down and keep the same speed. Now, sometimes that's the problem with the rider, too, is, you start working on gait, and then that's all you're working for. You also have to know, not just the horse, how to get him to walk and just relax. Now, this time isn't as good as the other time I went around. Good boy. Good job. So he thinks when I say good boy, he's supposed to stop. So that's just adding to the confusion. I want to reward him. So I'm not going to say it anymore. I'll just say it in my head when we're walking, and he's doing a good job. He's very smart, and I know he can read my mind, because I figured that out when I was lunging him. So I might have to walk around a long time to get this, and I'll cut some of that out because it'll be too boring. So there's a good walk. Relaxed, reaching out, stretching. Now he slowed down. So I'm trying just to get like a regular slow walk that any regular horse can do, and then from there I can get him to do his flat walk. That's your first gait, and at least how he feels today, he doesn't have one. So I think even if he knew what to do before, which he might have, I don't think he knows now. See how they read my mind? He's like, no, I don't. So when I put leg on him, he immediately does this short little step. He doesn't understand. I just want a faster walk. I don't want the saddle gait. In fact, I don't want it at all at this point. So now I usually do the turn on the forehand and all those things. I'm not going to do any of those, because he was going too much sideways before. I just want him to go forward. So I'm just walking across the diagonal, cutting the ring on the slant, and letting him walk. Now I want him to put his head down, but I also don't want him pulling on the bit. So when he pulls on the bit, I'm just sliding it with my fingers, squeezing with one hand and then the other to make it uncomfortable. So he associates the pulling on the bit with the sliding of the bit, making him not want to do it. Yes, but it takes some time. They have to figure out, wow, every time I yank on that thing, she pulls on my mouth. I don't like that. You know what? I'm not going to yank anymore, and let me see what happens. That's kind of how they're thinking. So total confusion. He's not the only. I've had lots of ones like this. They can't even move without pacing. So he's difficult. He's too slow, too bunched up, and then he tries to go too fast. And he's probably, you know, from what she described, quite good on the trail, but we got to practice in here and get it here, because you can't help somebody, you know, I can't give lessons on the trail. My pivo's not going to run around behind them. So I got to get them so I can help her, and so I got to fix this arena stuff. Good boy. Now I actually said it out loud because I forgot, but he kept walking that time. So remember when they say you hear work the walk and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? This is what we're talking about. You got to get them just to walk first. Just walk and relax. So with the way this is going, I don't know if I'm going to even work on his gait at all to show you today. I might have to come back in a week and show you. Good boy. There's his flat walk, and then we went right past it. So I clucked because he went too slow. I didn't really want a flat walk. I just wanted him to keep walking, but he offered that, and I let him do it because it was the first time I could actually feel it. So he has a nice flat walk if we're not confusing him. Oh, well. All right, so I'm going to keep doing this, and what do you want to talk about, Flyboy? He's like, oh, you talk too much, lady. Right now he's heavy on his front end. His hind quarter came up, I could feel it, and then he pulled down on the bit. So with these horses, we got to get them so they're relaxed if they're pacey. And we got to get them to stretch out, and we got to get them to go the correct speed. How do I do that? I do that with my seat by tensing it up or releasing it. So if I tense it up, that pushes them forward, but it can tense up their back. He's looking at our weirdo cow there. And then I use my legs. I squeeze inwards like I have a ball in between my legs, but very lightly. When I'm trying to just walk like I am now, I'm kind of alternating my calves against him, but my calf is always on this horse. So that way when I take it off, that's going to be my signal to him to stop. So if you got a hot horse and it's fast, you got to keep your leg lightly on the horse so you kind of dull it down. And if you can't do that, you know, with your body, you're like, he just keeps running away to do stuff, you can take noodles or something else, or even hand walk someone up there who's putting their leg lightly on the horse, and you just walk around and feed it, or, you know, follow a bucket of grain so it gets used to that the leg pressure is actually making me feel good because I get to eat grain when I feel leg pressure. So you got to associate it with something else besides go if they're stuck on go. So he's a little better. He's got more sneezing going on here, so that's good. And I'm not feeling anything wrong with him besides him just feeling tense and pacey and confused. He's like, yeah, I'm confused. Why is there some weird looking cow in here that doesn't do anything? Now, if you don't remember Cayenne, when Cayenne came in, he couldn't bend either. He was actually trotty when he started, and then in the time period that he was here, he went to pacey, and then from there he kind of went in between pacey and trotty, but I got very nice gaits out of him. And now he's gone home, so they can start one way and then go another way from the pace or the trot, and then you're just trying to control and get them right in between, because right in between the pace and the trot is where their gait's going to be. So now I can feel, he wants to stop. He's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, no, you just got to keep walking. This is better. Now the other thing, he's not spooky, but he can still be reacting to our arena and the things that are going around, and that can also cause them to bunch up and do things. And what I'm trying to do is keep my reins somewhat steady, except when he's slow, then I'm releasing more. And this stretching down is good, but he has to stay straight, and he's very wobbly. It's like riding a drunk horse. And the pacey ones get like that more than the trotty ones. The trotties usually don't get wobbly like that, but the pacey one, you can feel them tightening their muscles up in their back, and not in a good way. You feel them tighten up, and then you feel them swing those legs and then waddle. Okay. So now I'm going to try going over these poles, and we'll see what happens, if it helps us or makes it worse. Right now he's tense. Now he's better. Now he's tense. He's still tense. So the poles can help separate their legs, get them to reach out, because it's hard to stay tense and put your leg over a pole. So there he got fast. So you see, every time he urges forward, and I don't ask him to do that, I pull back on him and I sit back and then I let go. So he's being very jerky. This is not exciting to watch. It's not exciting to do, but it's what needs to be done to restart him. Many of them, when they have problems with their gaits, you got to go back. You go back and do the groundwork. Make sure they know it. Same thing with spooking or trail problems. You go back. Go back to the beginning. Make sure they know all the groundwork. Do the desensitizing. Work on resaddling them if they're bad. Just doing it over and over again. This is a little better. Now, he feels like he's trying to slow down, maybe to go to the bathroom, and I just hit him with my leg and my heels, telling him no. You just either go or you don't go. I don't care, but I want you to keep walking, because if he stops, he's going to immediately get tense again. Now he's waddling again. That's him pacing. We wish it was magic. Like, I wish I got on and he just walked out and he was relaxed and I could just get on and frame him up and show you how well he could gait. But I can't do that. You got to do where they are, and that's what you got to work with in the beginning. So I think the poles are helping, so I'm going to stay over the poles. He's like, I'm not so sure my mom was nice to me by leaving me here. Now he slowed down. He slowed down too much. I'm not stopping. So I'm trying to make it uncomfortable. So this is not a horse I'm going to let stop anymore to go to the bathroom. He's taken advantage of it. And I think he's thinking it'll give him a break. So you might think, well, that's not very nice. But horses can run and jump and go to the bathroom at the same time. And many of them, if you let them do it all the time, they'll use it to get out of work and do all sorts of stuff. So I want to take that out of his agenda. Now he's walking well. Now he's not. But this is the pacey part of my arena, right by that gate. They all pace because of the footing. So he is getting better. Because people get very confused between pain and issues and saddle fit and all those things. If it's your saddle fit that's causing the horse not to gait or have problems and do weird things, it's usually from the get-go, and they're usually, if you've been riding them with it, they're pinny-eared when you're putting it on them. Right from the beginning, they're trying to tell you. Then they might throw their head up and down. They might be swishing their tail a lot, and then they usually won't move out. So he's not doing any of those things. He's more like herky-jerky. Go slow, go fast. Go slow, go fast. and trip. Now, see me? That's pretty scary, right? He almost fell on his face, and that's why you got to work on your balance. So all those yeah, too bad. All those balance exercises, you better be doing them, because that's why I'm trying to help you stay in the saddle. Okay? Now, he got lazy there, and he didn't pick up his foot. And if I fell forward, we both could have fell down. So, when they're trippy, you know, his problem is he's young, he's not paying attention, he's got these other issues going on. I don't think anything's really wrong with him, at least not at the moment. I'll see as the weeks go on. But I have to, you're okay. I got you. You just got to pay attention. But I got to make sure they're picking up their feet. He's very careful with that one now, isn't he? Nope, you're not going fast. So I have to help him. I got to be like, nope, yes, because he doesn't know. And what he does know has been confused in his mind. He could have been very well trained, or not, I don't know, because I didn't ride him when they bought him. But now everything's confused together. Good boy. So he's walking much better. But he's got to stay awake, and this is a young horse thing and a pacey horse thing, is that they can trip like that. It happens much less with the trotty horses. It happens a lot with the pacey ones. I'm going to change my direction. So it doesn't make pacey horses bad. It just makes them different. And you got to pay attention and help them. Okay? So we got to make sure we get him better, but also make sure, you know, the owner can balance back and be careful, or maybe, you know, she won't need the poles at all once I fix them, hopefully. But in here, the lighting's different. You'll see it's shady and then light. Remember, it looks different to them. He might not have seen it well. He might have seen it and just not paid attention. He didn't realize he could fall on his face, and then he just learned he could. That's quite scary. Not just for me, but for him as well. That's why I have 100 vests on, to keep me safe. I crack myself up. Now I'm snorting. Keep going. Good boy. Oh. Now, he gave me a nice little flat walk right there. And I thought about, like, maybe I'll reward him. But it's nice that he went into the flat walk, but I didn't ask it. So then I thought, no, don't do it. You'll confuse him. So, you know, even I have to think about it. Good boy. This is good, but he sped up. So I got to keep shutting him down. And that's the hard part when you're new at this and you're like, oh my God, it's so fun, they're gaiting so well. When they just take off and you just let them, you just taught them that they can do whatever they want. And then you don't have communication. It's like your car just going into gear and pulling off the road or going somewhere. And you didn't ask it or drive it there. You don't want that to happen, so don't do it with your horse either. Don't let them just speed up. They speed up, you stop, back up, whatever you got to do, and start over again. He got very waddly there. He went left and right. And with the PC ones, you'll hear me in some of the videos saying you can tilt forward to like free up their back. And you would have heard me say this in Cayenne's video too. Don't do that with the ones that are tripping, because then you'll already be more forward. And then when they do trip, you might just knock them off their feet. So with the trippy ones, you just got to stay back. If someone says you're in a chair seat, say whatever. I might be in a chair seat, but I'm still on my horse. You got to do what you can. It's not always the perfect thing, or, you know, when I say you got to ride what kind of horse you have and keep yourself safe. So what I'm trying to do is go over these poles, 5 minutes or so each direction, and then if he stays good, I'm going to try and walk around the arena and keep his legs separated. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try and just walk again. Just relax. Feel the rhythm. Push back and forth with your hips. Try to get them to stay in a walk. When they pace, they're kind of side to side and they waddle. So you're trying to get the horse to follow your rhythm. So you see, when I ride my horse Tilly, you can usually see it pretty good, that back and forth motion. So there, he just paced, and now I'm going to back him up. Now I'm going to go forward. So he's not getting a break when he's pacing. He's just getting more work. So I didn't do this so much before, but now I'm like, yeah, well, let's see if you can figure it out. Now I'm going to bend him just a little to see if that will keep him out of the pace. So now he's walking well again. This is going to be the slowest gaited horse video you're going to see me do. This is a good walk. Now he slowed down, so I'm adding more leg. Now he bunched up. Now I'm going to back up. Once you start adding something in, now I'm waiting for his head to come down. Now I'm going to go forward. It has to happen every time. So since I added this in, that when he's starting a pace, I'm going to stop and back up. I'm going to have to do it every time. Here he goes again. So I'm going to get in lots of backing up. He has no idea why I'm doing that. But what he's got to figure out is the association of the pacing and the backing up, so he doesn't want to pace anymore. So I did the pulls. It didn't totally stop the pacing, but it did help to get him relaxed. But now that I'm away from the pulls, I have to use something else to help me. Nope, he's pacing again. And it's hard. He looks pretty. He gets all bunched up, and I see this happen to a lot of gaited horses. Somebody teaches them to travel in a frame and pace, and then it's very hard for me to undo it. I can, but it's very hard because then I lose the whole head down. I got to get his head down like this now and get him to relax. And you don't want to do this on a very long rein, because if it's too long, I won't be able to stop him quick enough when he's pacing. There he goes. So it's not just bring their head down and that solves the pace. It's bring their head down, go the correct speed with the right relaxation. He's tensing up, and then they'll start getting some gait. He tricked me. When I saw him loose, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Good job. But it's not. It's not easy at all. It's hard keeping him the same rhythm, because every time I need to add leg, because he slows down, which many horses do, he then goes forward into the pace. So we might just sit here and go back and forth. I don't know. He's more relaxed. That was good. Now it feels like he might do it again. Oh, he thought about it. And you got to keep your butt relaxed. My butt's very relaxed. If you tense up your butt, you're going to tense up his back, because that's going to dig down into their back. So your butt has to stay very relaxed as you're trying to get them to relax and get out of the pace. Now, nobody wants to do this. It is not fun, but if you do it, we won't have to go back. If we can get him just to walk, then what happens next is when I try the flat walk, this might happen again, but at least I'll have a plain walk where he's not pacing, and then I'll do it over again at the flat walk, And then once I can flat walk consistently, I'll do it at the saddle gait. And once I do it at the saddle gait consistently, we'll go faster and get him to rack. You're not stopping. So he wants to stop. He'll get it. Now he's pacing. But see, your horse poops a lot when you're going around. If you keep stopping when you're trying to get the gait, it messes everything up. It makes it much harder. It's like you're trying to glue two things together and somebody calls you up on your phone. And then you pick up the phone and you're like, damn it, the glue dried. I got to go again. Now I got to start all over. So you got to keep them moving and only stopping when you're asking, not when they're just stopping in the middle of you getting him walking nice and relaxed. But at least he's not as crooked as when I started, so that's much better. He's not as wobbly as when I started. And I don't think he's as confused. Good job. This is kind of the hard truth about gaited horses. It is not easy. It is quite difficult and very confusing, and that's why I always tell people to, take lessons first or go ride with the seller that you're buying the horse from. Hopefully they're good and they show you how to ride it correctly. And then you have to learn how to, though. And many of you don't have help. I do those online lessons, but I can tell you sometimes everybody takes one and then I don't get anything again, which, I'm busy, so it doesn't bother me. But then I go, well, those people will never get the gait. They took one lesson. It doesn't take one. It takes many. And that's the hard part. And sometimes, of course, it's price. You can think that it's expensive, but you're paying for all my expertise in years and my time, which it's taking out of, my day. And you can get somebody cheaper, but then you end up having issues because they don't fix it. If you do it right and, we get it right and I help you, you do not need me forever. It's great if you follow me. Yeah, that's great. But I don't want to give lessons forever. I want to give lessons until people understand what to do. Then they can do it themselves. They don't need me anymore. And the people who've done it like that, that's exactly what that happens. I help them for a year or something, and then they're off. They're having fun, and they're not messing around anymore with this stuff. But you have to be motivated. You have to do it. So you'll see every time I get over here, he starts pacing. The footing's deep. So I don't think it's the flat part, but it could be that he's by his stall, because his stall's right there, and that is distracting him, and that distraction is causing him to then start pacing. Everybody wants to go to their stall. Who doesn't? I want to go to my stall too. All right, so now we're going to try and go off the other direction. So I'd like him to walk just a little faster. Again, I'm not trying to get a flat walk. I would just like to walk faster than a quarter horse because I don't like to ride them because they're so slow. Not all of them. Now, he just yanked down on me, and I just slid the bit. Remember, it's not about them chucking their head down. It's about putting their head down and relaxing. So if he yanks on the bit and I don't correct him like that, what do you think he learns? To yank on the bit. So don't let him do that. So you'll see me kind of pushing my hips. There he paced. Now he's like, I don't like this backing up part. And I go, yeah, but the answer is not to pull back, which he just did. The answer is to stop pacing. He has to make that association. He doesn't understand because he doesn't speak English. And so some horses it takes, once around for them to figure that out, and some horses it takes 1,000 times around, and it just takes the time it takes. So there he started to speed up, and I half halted, and you know what he did? He actually slowed back down. So he is starting to figure it out. Now he's crooked, but he's smart. He's also testing. Like, I'm going to go sideways here, and what are you going to do about it, lady? I'm like, what? I'm going to do a lot about it. Now he's going too slow. So he's gotten some bad habits. Oh, now he's pacing. He's like, sucker. Now, the more days you do this in a row, the better. So it's very important that I'm on this horse tomorrow doing the same thing, because they're going to learn quicker if you do it days in a row. If I give him a week off, guess what? He's going to start out just like he did today. So that's why when you're training or you have a young horse, you need to get them out all the time. If they're really bad, you might have to ride them 7 days a week for a couple weeks, or a whole month. You might have to ride them 7 days. They really need to understand, hey, this is it. This is your job now. And it's just like you at a job. You do it much better if you're there all the time, and then it becomes monotonous because you're like, I could do this in my sleep. But when you're not there all the time, even if you used to know what to do, like the horse used to know how to gait, well, it's just the same for them with us being at a job. If they haven't been gaiting or it's been wrong, they don't know anymore. They forget. They don't forget as much when they're older, but when they're younger, they don't have much time on them. So it comes off very, very easily. So he's walking nicely now. Good. He's bunching up once in a while, but he's not pacing. He bunches up, and then he's starting to lower his head. He's like, Jesus, what do I got to do with this lady? This is not fun. The chomping on the bit is no big deal. I'd rather have him chomping on the bit than trying to do something bad to me. It's got a roller. It's a miler bit. It's for him to play with. Let him play with it. Let him take his frustrations out on the bit. As he gets better and understands, his mouth will get quieter. So don't tie their mouth shut. That's not it, unless they're putting their tongue over the bit, and then it's probably the wrong bit. You want to... see, that was nice, and I would have liked to keep flat walking. That's what he just did, but I had to tell him, no, that's not what I'm asking. Now, that was twice, and he didn't come back so easily when I pulled on him, so that's why I backed him up. Every single time. If you don't have an arena, it's great if you can find a pasture area. If you don't have that, you can do this in the round pen. Try to make your round pen pretty big if possible, like 60 feet or at least 50. You can do it in a 40, but they get bored very easily, very quick because it's so small. So try to make it bigger if possible. You can go down the road and do this, but you want to make sure you're keeping that horse straight as you're going down. Like, I'm keeping him right in between both my legs to keep him straight, because again, he was waddling. So you got to find some place you can practice their gait, and that's not off in the woods on hard trails. That's going to do lots of other things for them, but it's not going to make them gait well. So I can't, and I don't like being in here either, but I can't take him out on trail till I get this fixed, because it'll be too difficult, and then he'll just keep pacing with me. So I just gotta stay in this arena. Did you hear that, Flyboy? If you don't stop pacing, we're staying in here for a month. And I might have to stay in here a whole month. We'll see. But remember, You have to walk before you can run, and the horses need to be able to walk before they can gait. They have to walk well with their legs separated, 4 beats, no pacing, no trotting. Just walk. Do you see the difference with how pacey he was to start? And we are not even close to perfection, but he is so much better in this one. Well, it feels like an hour to me. I don't know how long it's been. You're not stopping. Now, he might have to pee. He might have to poop. I don't care. He's going to have to hold it, or he can let it out while he's moving. He's slowing down again. There, he got his speed back up. There, he went faster, so I half halted. I'm not pumping my arms. They might be moving with the horse, but that's because my body's moving, so I don't pump my arms or anything. I just stay still, just like I'm a pair of side reins. No. So he did a couple things there. He tripped, he pulled, he paced. I know he wants to be done. Again, young horses don't have a real long attention span. And so when you get off, you want to get off far away from his stall, because that's where he wants to go each time. So I want to get off at this other end when he's good. Some people say they don't mind the pace, you know, when they've been on trotting horses, or it's okay, it's not that bouncy. No, the step pace isn't as bad, but the true pace is. It makes them trippy, it makes them uncoordinated, it's not good for their muscles because they're not using any, they're just swinging their legs, and the horse is becoming lazier and lazier and crooked. So you want to get them out of that pace. Now that wasn't that bad, so I'm not going to back up that far. This is good. He's trying to look left, and I'm just straightening him and telling him, no, you can't look left. Now he's trying to get slow. Flyboy, if you make it to the middle of the arena towards that cow without pacing, we'll be done. Because he's doing pretty good at the moment. Oh. Now I'm waiting for his head to go down. Okay. So, this poor little horse is very confused. I don't want to get off while he's shaking. Now, there's lots of things that go on when you ride them. You're not going to see me for a second. So him just shaking his head like that, is it his hair or is it a release? Because they sometimes will do that with a release. And so I take all that into consideration when I'm riding them. I see what they feel like. Like if he just kept getting worse and worse and worse, I'd be like, yeah, I think this is a pain thing. But if they're getting better, then I don't think it's a pain thing, and I just double check the saddle, make sure nothing's pushing down on him, and then I'll check his back when I'm done. But we got to start. We got to reward his effort. He did really good. He started not pacing so much, and that's all I can do for the first day. There's no point in me like revving him up and gating him around and making him go really fast. And you know, even what if I get the saddle gait? What if I got it really nicely? Then they still can't walk. You need to be able to walk, do your flat walk, and then whatever gaits next that you have with your horse, a running walk, a foxtrot, a saddle gait, and then the ride. Make them all smooth so the horse understands, oh, I do this. Oh, now I do this faster. Now I do this faster. Not just go to this right away, and then when they go slower, they're like, I don't even know how to walk in a straight line. Start from the ground, teach them everything on the ground, and then teach them under saddle and move up from there. Anytime you have problems, go all the way back, restart your horse. Especially if someone else has been riding it, you send them to a trainer or something like that, they come back messed up, you restart that horse, because if you just try to fix the hole that they did, you won't get it. So again, if I just tried to fix him pacing at the saddle gate, it's not going to help this horse. I got to fix the very beginning and then work my way up so he has a good foundation again, and then that will make it much easier for the owner to be able to continue it. So you'll get to watch his progress. I really like him. He's cute, nice horse, very smart, and we'll see how he does tomorrow, but my videos on him are usually just once a week. All right. Hope that helps. Remember, like and subscribe. And if you stuck it out and watched this whole video of me walking, thank you. And hopefully that helps.